मिलती नहीं ताकत के करे शुक्रिया इंसान बंदों पे खुदा रहता है हर दम ही मेहरबान मिलती नहीं ताकत के करे
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, and welcome to the third lesson of this series of a frequency-based approach to learning the translation of the Holy Quran.
जिसका नाम है रमजान आया महीना वो
So to get directly into our lesson, today in this third lesson, inshallah, we have three things to cover. Those are the indefinite and definite forms in Arabic, as in what they are and what they are in Arabic. The second thing is what the hidden pronoun is in Arabic and what that refers to. And the third thing is the fact that there's no neuter gender in Arabic, and we will look at all these things and explain them individually, inshallah. Before we move on, as ever, we have the words from the last lesson because revision is really important. So starting from the left at the top, we have khalaqa, which is one of the verbs we looked at, which means he created. We have as-samawat, which is of course a compound of al, the particle al, and samawat, which means the heavens. We have hadha, which is a demonstrative pronoun, which means this. And we'll look today at the fact that hadha is actually for masculine things. It's the masculine demonstrative pronoun. This for masculine things. We'll have a look at that today, inshallah. Baytun means a house, as like Bayt al-Futuh. Masjid, of course, coming from sajada, means a mosque. And man is a word meaning who. To start today's lesson, and to move myself out of the way, we have indefinite and definite forms. The indefinite form is when you refer to something and you don't know exactly what thing you're referring to. In English, we use a or an for that. For example, we'd say a car, a house, or an egg. When you're referring to a car, house, or an egg, but you don't know which particular car or particular house or particular egg you're referring to, you just say a car or a house or an egg. The definite form, on the other hand, is when you're referring to something definite, as in specifically referring to something, and you know which thing you're referring to. In this case, in English, we'd use the. So we'd say the car or the house or the egg, like that's the car that I own, or that's the house that I live in. We use the to refer to a specific thing that we know about. In Arabic, the indefinite form is expressed with double diacritical marks. We covered last lesson the fact that diacritical marks are either the fatha or the kasra or the dhamma you have on top or underneath a word, and it indicates the vowel sound for that letter. In Arabic, what you'll have to indicate the indefinite form is double diacritical marks on the last letter of the word. Always the last letter, never any other letter, and they'll always be double. If you see double diacritical marks on the last letter of any word, any noun in Arabic, you'll know that that is an indefinite noun. So, for example, the first example here we have is kitabun, kitaban, or kitabin. These vary. Sometimes you'll have it like this, sometimes like this, and sometimes like this. These vary according to grammatical rules, and we'll cover that in the future, inshallah. But it's important to remember that whether it's a double dhamma, a double fatha, or double kasra, either way, all of them will mean a. And in this case, kitabun, kitaban, and kitabin all equally mean a book. In the same way, masjidun, masjidan, and masjidin all mean a mosque, and ardun, ardan, and ardin all mean an earth. The only point extra worth remembering here is that in Arabic, on almost all letters, when you put double diacritical marks on a letter, as in here, kitaban, you'll gain an extra alif afterwards. But of course, that only applies to the end of the word, because you can't have double diacritical marks on any letter apart from the last letter of a word. So when you have the double diacritical marks on the last letter of the word, that word will also gain an extra alif after it. But that only applies to double fatha. It doesn't apply to double kasra or double dhamma. And of course, the reasons why they do differ is according to grammar. That has its own grammatical rules, and we'll look at them in the future, inshallah. But either way, this doesn't actually change the meaning of the word. It still means the same thing. In this case, these all mean a book, these all mean a mosque, and these all mean an earth. The definite form in Arabic is when we attach the prefix al at the beginning, as we mentioned before. A prefix is letter or letters that you add before a word. For example, in English, we have prehistoric or we have uncommon. In Arabic, when you add alif lam before a word, it makes it definite and you know specifically what thing you're referring to. And again, here the diacritical marks can change. You can have a dhamma, or you can have a fatha, or you can have a kasra. But whichever one of those it is, the fact that it has al at the beginning means it's the. So al-kitabu, al-kitaba, al-kitabi all equally mean the book, as do al-masjidu, al-masjidan, al-masjidi all mean the mosque, and al-ardu and al-arda and al-ardi all mean the earth. And again, we'll look at the reasons why the final diacritical marks vary later on, inshallah. Remember, you cannot ever say al-kitabun, because that would mean a book, because you're making the noun definite and indefinite at the same time, and that doesn't make sense in any language. You either know what you're referring to, exactly which one thing you're referring to, or you don't. You can't know and not know what thing you're referring to specifically. So al-kitabun, having double diacritical marks at the end and al at the beginning, would mean a book, and a noun can either be indefinite or definite. It can't be both. So you can either have kitabun or you can have al-kitabu, but you can't have al-kitabun, because that would be exactly the same as saying a book in English, which doesn't make sense in English or in any other language for that matter. So do remember this. Example sentences. At the beginning, we have kitabun fi masjidin. Both words have double diacritical marks at the end. So that would be a book is in a mosque. Two indefinites. The second example, we have one definite and then another indefinite. So we have al-kitabu fi masjidin. That would mean the book is in a mosque. In the third example, the first word is indefinite and the third word is definite. So that would be a book is in the mosque. And in the fourth example, both words are definite. So would have al-kitabu fil masjid, meaning the book is in the mosque. As in you can see here, the double diacritical marks meaning an indefinite noun. So therefore it takes an a or an, and the al referring to a definite noun, and therefore that definite noun taking the. That was the first topic covered, which is definite and indefinite forms in Arabic and how to recognize them. The second thing that we have today is the hidden pronoun. Now, we looked at the standard verb, subject, object sentence structure for Arabic, as in we looked at Ra'a Ahmad Kitaban. I've highlighted Ra'a here because this is one of our only two new words today, because we have more grammar today, so there's only two new words to learn. Ra'a means he saw. And so therefore in this sentence we have Ra'a Ahmad Kitaban. Again, verb, subject, object. Action, person doing the action, thing the action's being done to. So Ra'a Ahmad Kitaban literally means saw Ahmad a book, but would translate it in English as Ahmad saw a book. Verb, subject, object. This is here. This is a complete sentence in Arabic. It's not an incomplete sentence. What we have here is Ra'a Ahmad and then nothing afterwards. So the sentence ignoring this is actually just this. Before we move on, it's just important to define that a transitive verb is a verb that has to take an object. Like for example, in English, to touch or to eat, you have to say, I touched something or I ate something. If you say, I touched, that's not a complete sentence because, well, then what did you touch? And I ate is not a complete sentence in English because you have to say, what did you eat? So transitive verbs are those verbs that require an object. Intransitive verbs are those that don't require an object. For example, to sleep. If you say, I slept, that's a complete sentence because you can't sleep something else. And for example, smile, you can't say, or you'd say, I smiled as a complete sentence because you can't smile something else. So in Arabic, when you see a transitive verb and then a subject, a person, and nothing else afterwards, how would you translate the sentence? Because according to strict verb, subject, object structure, there's no object. So then when Ahmed saw something, what did he see? This is not right, this table, as in there is no third object here. This is just explaining it according to the fact, to explain the fact that verb, subject, object isn't the only sentence structure in Arabic. How this sentence actually works is this. Now, this page is full of stuff, so I'm going to hide myself down here. What we have here at the top is understanding the sentence according to strict verb, subject, object structure. The thing is, that doesn't work here. What we have here is the fact that actually here, ra'a, the verb, is a subject and a verb. And what we thought was the subject is actually the object. That's because in Arabic, when you say ra'a actually means he saw. Like kataba means he wrote, and khalaqa means he created. Now, in this sentence, when you say ra'a Ahmad, because it's a complete sentence, the subject is actually within the verb. When you say he saw, when you say ra'a, you mean he saw. In a sentence with this sentence, you don't need to say he, because the he is the person and the person is Ahmad. But when there's only two things, the second verb has to be the object, and so therefore the subject will be hidden inside the verb. That's what in Arabic is called a hidden pronoun. A hidden pronoun is that pronoun which is already inside the verb, because like French and Spanish, for example, every single verb has a different form according to which person's doing that verb. So therefore, when you see ra'a, three letters like that, you know it's a past tense verb. And it's a past tense masculine verb, so you know he is the person doing it. So when you see ra'a Ahmad, it means, as we have down here, he saw Ahmad, rather than saw Ahmad something else. An example of this is Kataba Ali kitaban, which means Ali wrote a book. But then when you take away the subject and you just have Kataba kitaban, now the person, which was Ali, the he, becomes part of the verb. Then you have Kataba kitaban. And then Kataba now isn't just the verb like it's in the first sentence. Kataba here is the verb and the subject put together. He wrote. And then at the end, you have the object, a book. The second example is Ra'a Uthman masjidan. Uthman saw a mosque. Here we have clearly the verb Ra'a meaning saw, and Uthman, of course. In the second sentence, because the subject, the person, you can't explicitly see it, you know that the person or the subject is inside the verb. Uthman here is the hidden pronoun. He is the hidden pronoun. So Ra'a here would mean he saw. So Ra'a Uthman masjidan is Uthman saw a mosque, but Ra'a masjidan means he saw a mosque because there's no explicitly visible subject or person doing the action. You know that the person doing the action, the subject, is going to be hidden within inside the verb. And that is what the hidden pronoun is in Arabic. The third thing we have to learn today is the fact that there is no neuter gender in Arabic. In English, we have three grammatical genders, which is masculine, for example, a boy, obviously, feminine for a girl, and neuter is something which is genderless, like a table or a chair or a house. In Arabic, like Urdu, French, Spanish, and many other languages, every single noun is masculine or feminine, even inanimate, non-alive things like table, chair, and house. Even those things in Arabic, like French, Spanish, Urdu, and other languages, all of those inanimate, non-alive things, they're also either masculine or feminine. So, bringing that to this example, here we have هذا مسجد هو في المدينة. Huwa is one of our new words, our other new word for today. It means he. The thing is, in this sentence, هذا مسجد, this is a mosque. Mosque is masculine in Arabic. When we refer to the mosque with a pronoun, because there's no neuter, there's no genderless form in Arabic grammar, When you use a pronoun to refer to the mosque, you have to use the pronoun for he, because there's no word for it in Arabic. There is no it in Arabic because there's no neuter gender. Every single thing, whether alive or not alive, is either masculine or feminine grammatically. So you'd have to use the word for he to refer to the mosque. So literally this would be, this is a mosque, he is in Medina. But when translating in English, of course, in English you have the neuter grammatical gender. So you can't say, you wouldn't translate it in English as this is a mosque, he is in Medina, even though huwa does mean he. What you'd have to translate it in English as is it. So هذا مسجد huwa fil Medina. In English would be translated as this is a mosque, it is in Medina. However, the literal translation is this is a mosque, he is in Medina. So even though huwa means he, it's important to remember that huwa also can mean it. And later on, when we do the feminine version of huwa, the feminine demonstrative pronoun, that also can work as it if you're referring to a feminine object in Arabic. Because there's no it, that object, for example, table in Arabic is feminine. So when you say this is a table in Arabic, when you say in Arabic, this is a table, it is in my house. The Arabic equivalent would be, this is a table, she is in my house, because a table is feminine grammatically in Arabic. Whereas in English, a table is neuter, so we'd just say it and not she. An example of this from the Quran is this. When Hazrat Zakaria, the Prophet Zakaria, may peace be on him, visits the mother of Mary, may Allah be pleased with her, when he visits Mary, of course, the mother of Jesus, peace be on him, what we see is that he finds she has provision with her. When he asks her, "Oh Mary, from where do you have this? Where did you get this from?" When he says this, he uses the masculine word this. In English, that's not confusing because in English, this is a boy, this is a girl. The word this is the same for masculine and feminine. But when she replies, it is from Allah, she uses the word he, saying he is from Allah. So literally, this sentence would be, she said, he is from Allah. But of course, it has to be he because in Arabic, the word provision is masculine itself. It's not neuter, and so therefore there's no it word to refer to the provision. The word in Arabic to refer to the provision is he. So therefore, the word he is used, but of course in English, we translate the word as it is from Allah, not he is from Allah. But it's important to remember that though huwa means he, it also functions as it in Arabic because there is no word for it in Arabic, because Arabic doesn't have the neuter grammatical gender. It just has masculine and feminine for all things, even if they're not alive or not alive, animate or inanimate. Every single noun in Arabic is either masculine or feminine, like other languages like Urdu and French and Spanish. So our new words for today are just two because we've done more grammar today. They are ra'a, which is he saw. It's another one of our past tense verbs. 3 letters, just like kataba, he wrote, and khalaqa, he created. And huwa is a masculine pronoun, meaning he. But also it can mean it. If the thing that's referring to is inanimate, not alive, but it's masculine in Arabic, it also therefore works as it if referring to a masculine thing. The examples of what we've done today, so we did ra'a today, and ra'a comes in the Quran, of course. It's quite common. In this verse, it means لَقَدْ رَأَى مِنْ آيَاتِ رَبِّهِ الْكُبْرَى. Surely he saw the greatest of the signs of his Lord. So here ra'a means he saw. And of course we see the word Rabb here, even though there's a he at the end, which means his Lord, as we'll cover later, we still see the word Rabb here. Min means from, but here functions as of. Ayat is signs. We do have the word ayat, which means verse. It also means signs. And kubra means big. But we'll cover these things later on, inshallah. The main thing to remember here is ra'a, meaning he saw. The second word we've done today is huwa, which is he. Now we've already done a verse previously mentioning the heavens and the earth, and this is something that comes up a lot in the Quran, that Allah created the heavens and the earth, and Allah often emphasizes in the Quran saying He is the one. It is Allah. He is Allah who created the heavens and the earth. Here we have heavens and the earth again, and Allah has used the word He to emphasize the word Allah. So this verse means, and He is Allah in the heavens and the earth. Now, alhamdulillah, we know enough Arabic to analyze and look at this verse closely. So wa means and, of course. Huwa, as we just learned, means He. Allah is, of course, Allah. Fi means in. As-samawat means the heavens, as we did previously. Wa again means and. Fi means in. And al-ard, as we did before, means the earth. So that's a longer construction, even longer than last time, that we've alhamdulillah able to translate ourselves now, which is and He, and then is, of course, is implied. We don't say there is in Arabic. So, and He is Allah in the heavens and in the earth. Alhamdulillah. So our vocabulary is developing. We're able to translate longer phrases now. The third example is the one we looked at before to explain the neuter gender point, grammatical gender in Arabic. Rizq is masculine. So therefore, the two words that refer to the rizq, i.e. the provision, are both masculine. This would be this in English if it was neuter, feminine, or masculine. So that's not difficult to understand. There's not a problem as such. The word huwa here, of course, means he. But in English, we wouldn't use he here. Here we'd use it. But Arabic uses he because rizq is a masculine word, because in Arabic, as we mentioned, all nouns, including inanimate ones, as in things that are not alive, like house and garden and football, that are completely not alive and have no biological gender at all. In Arabic, like in Urdu, French, and Spanish, and other languages, inanimate, non-alive objects also have grammatical gender. Rizq, provision, is a masculine word, so therefore, when Mary, may Allah be pleased with her, replies to the Prophet Zakaria, peace be upon him, she says, it is from Allah. Literally, she says, he is from Allah. But we know that he is referring to provision, and provision it doesn't have grammatical gender in English. It's a neuter word, so therefore in English we'd say it is from Allah. New words today are just two. We have huwa and we have ra'a. Huwa meaning he, and ra'a, a verb meaning he saw. And our new grammar points today, this is the main crux of the lesson today. My approach involves the minimal amount of grammar, because focusing on the translation and the language primarily, but some grammar is in every language absolutely necessary, no least the Quran and no least the Arabic language. So the three grammar points we've done today, and these aren't the kind of grammar points, or grammar tends to be more complex in general, but these especially aren't the kind of grammar points where you can look at them once, look at the screen and listen to me for a couple of minutes explaining them, and then fully be able to absorb them and grasp them. It will firstly take going over this video again, pausing it, making sure you understand it properly. And then on my part in the future, inshallah, it will take reinforcement via more examples. And naturally, as we look at the Holy Quran, these examples will come out in the Holy Quran. Vocabulary will appear in the Quran, and grammar, both as we move on every lesson, look at things in the Quran. Like just today with the examples of with the وَهُوَ اللَّهُ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ, and he is Allah in the heavens and the earth. Loads of words came up there which we now know, but which were new 1 or 2 lessons ago. In the same way, these grammar points we've done today will come up all the time in the Holy Quran, and very soon, inshallah, they'll just become habit, they'll just become instinct. That requires revision, of course, going over this video, making sure you understand them. And of course, inshallah, as I present more examples from the Quran, these things will automatically be reinforced when we see them coming up again and again, because these grammar points, as well as these vocabulary words, are the essence and the most common things that appear in the Holy Quran. Hence why we're doing them now, because we want to build that foundation for the rest of the translation of the Holy Quran, inshallah, both from a vocabulary perspective and from a grammar one, inshallah. So please do revise the new words we've learned today, but there's only 2. The main thing is those 3 grammar points, which is the indefinite and definite forms and how they work in Arabic. The second is the hidden pronoun. And the third thing is the fact that there's no neuter grammatical gender in Arabic. Every single noun is either masculine or feminine, and therefore we have to use the pronoun for either he or she to refer to them, even though we'd use it in English, because in English, while they're neuter, in Arabic, those things have grammatical gender, and so therefore we'd refer to them as he or she in Arabic and other languages. Whereas in English, we just refer to them as it because they have no grammatical gender in English. So please do remember those things. And please also remember that with prayers, please pray for me and pray this is a success. And with prayers and application and dedication, inshallah, this will be a success. Jazakumullah, aslan jaza. Assalamu alaikum.